Hello, I'm David Chaston with 989, brought to you by interest.co.nz. This week, get everything you need to know in 90 seconds to 9 o'clock, with news of another very sharp fall in dairy prices in the overnight auction. But first, in the US, payrolls processor ADP said 189,000 new jobs were created in March, fewer than the 225,000 expected, and creating doubt in markets that this weekend's non-farm payrolls report will be a good one. On the flip side, American manufacturing PMIs released overnight were quite positive. Both the ISM and the Markit reports show American factories are expanding solidly with improving trends. Momentum is building again. In Australia, banks are fighting moves to make them hold more capital, the objective of which is to make them safer in a crisis. The global dairy trade auction, however, has produced a widespread slump in prices. They were down 10.8% in US dollar terms, 12.7% in New Zealand dollar terms. The key whole milk powder price was down 13.3%, skim milk powder prices were down 9.9%, butter lower by 7.6%, and cheese down by 10.5%. These sharp falls come after an 8.5% drop just 2 weeks ago. Basically, prices have now retreated to where they were at the start of the year. Surprisingly, our currency hardly noticed. In fact, if anything, it has risen in the last few hours after the dairy results were posted. This is probably because markets were expecting about a 10% fall, which is what they got. The shine is well and truly off the New Zealand dairy industry, and it is now settling in for a more modest future, one that will need to absorb the new regulatory costs that have been imposed on it in the past few years, along with the higher debt levels being carried by more recent conversions. At the margins, we could see some financial stress. In New York, US Treasury 10-year yield slipped overnight to 1.87%. This was in contrast to a quiet and stable day yesterday for New Zealand swap rates. The crude oil price has jumped in early trading today. The US price is up to $50 a barrel and Brent crude is at $57 a barrel. And this is despite record high crude storage in the US. However, American crude output fell last week for the first time since January. The gold price also jumped and is now at $1,208 an ounce. New Zealand dollar will start today pretty much unchanged from where we were at this time yesterday at 74.7 US cents, still very high against the Aussie at 98.1 Aussie cents, and the TWIs at 79.8. I'm David Chaston. That was 90 at 9, brought to you by interest.co.nz.